Hey everyone, I wanted to share a new curriculum that I am excited about today. This is by Thistles and Biscuits, and it's called The Wonders of Watercolor. Now, I shared in a few previous videos an art video, and then also I think another video about another curriculum from Thistles and Biscuits that I had, and that is their comic arts units, which my seventh grader will be doing next year. But she had expressed to me that she would love to learn how to watercolor, but she's kind of afraid of watercolor. I think just because of it can really get away from you. It's hard sometimes to control your strokes in watercolor, and so she was a bit fearful of it, but really wanting to learn. And when I saw this curriculum from Thistles and Biscuits, I thought this could be perfect. So I think I'm actually going to use this first. And then when she finishes her comic arts units or whatever else she decides to do for art next year, I think that this will be a good option. So I wanted to share it with you today. It can be hard to learn different art techniques through books, but I think that this one does a really good job of walking you through the different steps. So they spend a lot of time, which I'll show you in a minute, going through materials you will need. And then it goes into value scale, texture and strokes, the wet on wet technique, the wet on dry technique, and then there's additional projects. Also, because people usually ask, when I get a curriculum like this that has really beautiful illustrations in it, which you will see this one does, or oftentimes if I'm printing my teacher's manuals or something that's going to be used again, I print on a thicker paper, and that is completely unnecessary. It's just a preference that I have and something that makes me happy, but usually people ask. So I will link the paper that I used to print this down in the description box below. I just get it from Amazon, but I don't print all of my curriculum on thicker paper because it is about double the price of regular paper, but I pick and choose how I use it, but I will share that down below for you. So in the introduction, I really kind of appreciate how the creator talks kind of about her own art, history in art. I think that that's very interesting and kind of helpful to see her approach. And it really gets into the materials. And another thing that I appreciate is they give you a couple of different options on materials or suggestions. So they give you kind of like a mid-range option, as well as a higher end option. So suggesting maybe that you're going to start with the more inexpensive option, and then if this really takes off for you, or you really get into this, then you might consider getting a higher quality material. But they're all listed here, and then these are all links, I believe, to Amazon, so you can see exactly kind of what they're talking about. So they talk a bit about the paper, the paints, the brushes, and other materials that you might need. So I found that to be very helpful. And then it gets into the very first lesson, which is value scale. Now, I believe they recommend this curriculum for ages 10 and up, and I think that that's fairly appropriate. I would not use it with a younger child because it very much does rely on reading the lesson. The pictures are kind of there for support, but it really is important to read kind of what they're saying. So I think for my 12-year-old, this would be a good fit. I don't know that I would do it with my son, maybe until he's that age. But so it really walks you through step by step the lesson. And then, you finish the project based on this lesson of value. And then you move on to the next lesson, which is texture and strokes. And I think this looks really fun. But again, you do have to read. And I think that's what a lot of the books, when you get like watercolor books from the library, that they're missing. They kind of show pictures of different steps, but I really think you need the combination of the text and then the picture. And so I like that about this particular curriculum. And I like that for every technique that then there's a project that directly relates to the technique. So you're practicing the technique and then you get to do a project where you get to implement that technique. Then you get into the wet on wet technique. And those look really fun. And there's another project practicing that technique. And then you get into the wet on dry technique, and it's set up exactly the same. And then I believe we get into additional projects. I love that. So we have a manta ray, flip-flops, this carrot bunch, there's a cactus, a butterfly, or is that a moth? Butterfly, cupcake, a llama, and then that's it. You have your conclusion. So I'm really excited to use this. Like I said, I'm going to go through the program first, I think. But then I think that this will be great for my 7th grader next year. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's so funny because I think it's kind of one of those topics, if a curriculum is beautiful or not. And I think it's okay to really want a beautiful curriculum like this one, Thistles and Biscuits, and what's the other one? Harbor and Sprout. Really beautiful with their artwork. But what's makes it better, and the important part, is that in addition to being beautiful, it's a really quality curriculum. It's just done really well. Both of those companies, I think, do a great job of combining the beauty and something that's really usable and accurate, and tested and done really well. So anyway, I'm really excited about this. And watercolors it's a really tough technique or painting medium to learn. And so I just wanted to share this resource because I think it would be a good one for older students. So I do have a coupon code that I'll link down below. And I will also link the art video where I mentioned the comic arts units that they have, in case you're interested in those. So let me know what you think. If you've used this, this is relatively new, but if you've used it already, I'd love to hear, or if you have other resources that you really love for watercolor, I'd love to know that too. But I will talk to you down in the comments below.